Yeah, we're live. 19 seconds. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started so that we will start and finish in a timely manner. We're going to open up with prayer, and we are going to be speaking about lessons from the well. If you'd like to be a part of this virtual Bible study, we just ask that you go to the website, betheram.com, and you'll see the Bible study link that you sign up, and it'll give you a Zoom code. So if you're on Facebook watching, if you're on YouTube watching, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Instagram, whatever venue you're on, whatever platform, you can still go to our website and then you'll have access. In the past, we put the code out, didn't work so well. We had some unwanted visitors, but hey, that's the internet for you. So let's just open up in prayer here. Jesus, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this time of Bible study. Thank you for this Bible enrichment. We thank you for giving us your son. We pray that someone's life will be affected in a positive manner, that we'll get some insight and just gain a lot of wisdom and some knowledge that we can take forth from this Bible study lesson. We don't take it lightly whenever we do come in front of your people. So we just praise your name. We thank you for this moment, and we just thank you for what's about to happen. In your name we pray. Amen. So what we're talking about is John chapter 4, and we're going to read some verses, and we will also just pretty much go over Revelations. We got echo? Or is that on here? Oh, that's the microphone. So we'll have some revelations that we gained from the readings. So as you know, if I'm reading, I'll see it in a completely different way. If you read it, then you'll see it differently. So as of right now, it's my wife and I, and we can read the same scripture, the same text, but we'll see it in a completely different manner. And I think that's what's so good about the word, that it affects us and it reaches us differently. So I'm going to pull up the Bible, YouVersion Bible. That's something that I like to use because I can jump from text to text, and it'll allow me to read different versions of the Bible.
I'm gonna read this while you're doing that.
Okay.
I said, do you want me to read this while you're doing that?
Oh, yes. And I'm going to pull up on the screen as well.
Well, I have King James Version.
Okay, I'll put the King James up. Go here. Share my screen. It's right here. So now what you see on the screen should be John chapter 4, and I'll let you read the first few verses.
And where do you want me to stop?
I'll pause you. I don't know exactly.
Okay, John chapter 4, beginning at verse 1. When therefore the Lord knew how the Pharisees had heard that Jesus made and baptized more disciples than John, though Jesus himself baptized not but his disciples. He left Judea and departed again into Galilee, and he must needs go through Samaria. Then cometh he to a city of Samaria, which is called Sychar, near the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph.
All right, there we go. So I can say right there and I'm the kind of person that I guess I look so deep into things, but just from the beginning, when it said that the people were saying that John baptized more people than Jesus. And in the beginning there, it says that Jesus wasn't baptizing at all. It says that the baptism was his disciples. They were the ones doing the baptizing. But people, when you're trying to serve God, you're trying to do something the right way, people will try to throw salt in your game, per se. They will try to cause dissension. They will try to say, well, I thought you was, the second coming of Christ. Why is it that John, why is he baptizing more people than you? And Jesus, he wasn't bothered by that. So the first lesson I can say that I learned from the well was that you can't worry about what others say. And when people try to pit competition within your family, when they try to put competition in between you at work, if you know you're doing God's will, why does it matter? I guess Jesus, the way I took it, that he was saying, it doesn't matter if John's doing it. It doesn't matter I don't care how many people or who baptized more people. The fact is that people are getting saved. So the second thing that I pulled from that is the fact that they went to Sychar, a town in Samaria, and Jesus was not supposed to be in that area. So this is an area that, Samaria, it wasn't for the Jews. So in reality, he's not supposed to be there, but he wasn't, he had a call. He knew what he had to do, and he wasn't intimidated by the fact that he wasn't supposed to be there. And I took that lesson from the well, is that when God calls you, you can't be intimidated by, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be in this situation. I'm not supposed to be in this place. I found myself on jobs and sitting in the room with other influential people, and I kind of discounted myself. I said, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be in this group of people. These people, they're higher than me. They know more than me. They're smarter than me. And, that would have been an example. If I had have quit, then I would have been the kind of person that let my surroundings or my physical location say that I'm not supposed to be here. You have any comments on that one?
Well, it kind of made me think about a situation where I went to a different school, and working at a different school was a different experience. So there was a different feel of the building, if you will. And so initially when I got there, it was kind of like I wasn't supposed to be there. I felt like I was supposed to be there as I transitioned to the new school. But then some of the people there, I allowed them to make me feel like I wasn't supposed to be there. And so I had a really hard, first year there, because I was kind of just really not being true to myself, because I allowed my surroundings, my environment to kind of alter my viewpoint. I know my philosophy of education. I know what I believe in as a teacher, but I kind of skewed that to make others around me more comfortable, so that I wouldn't be viewed as angry or whatever the case may be. So it's important that there are going to be some places where you have to go to serve, to witness, whatever the case may be, and we can't be intimidated by whoever else is there. If God wasn't intimidated by all of my stuff to come and get me from where I'm from, then I shouldn't be intimidated by where I need to be in order to serve his people and bring people to him.
I agree. I also feel like the fact that he went to Samaria was saying that the location could be where you are spiritually. I know a lot of times us as believers will say we're not, as saved as the bishop. We're not as saved as the pastor. We're not as saved as the person that's speaking in tongues, the person that's dancing around the church. We always feel like we're just not as qualified as the next person. So I think God is telling us that when I call you, it doesn't matter where you are spiritually. You can get a word from anybody. I mean, if you think about it, when Jesus was on the cross and the two sinners were next to him, they even, that alone was speaking to us. So you don't have to be perfect, but when God calls you, he will perfect your message. He will make sure that your message travels the distance. So we will continue. So we got the first point at the well was that, what was it? With Sychar.
It was about the fact that the disciples were the ones doing the baptizing.
So don't worry about dissension. Don't worry about where you're at physically or spiritually. So let me share my screen again. And where did you leave off at? Verse 4, 6. Verse 6. Now Jacob's well was there. Jesus, therefore, being wearied with his journey, sat thus on the well, and it was about the 6th hour, which was noon. So, a message from the well. If you look at this, and this is something that I would say a lot of us, we don't deal well with. It says that Jesus was weary on his journey. And if we switch this over to, let's switch it to the ERV. And you go to verse 6. It says that Jacob's well was there. Jesus was tired from his long trip. So he sat down beside the well. It was about noon. So it's telling us here that Jesus was tired. Now, if Jesus can get tired and it's okay, why is it that we try to work ourselves so hard and we won't necessarily accept the fact that we can get tired? So a message from the well is that it's okay to get tired and it's okay to take a break. We have this philosophy that we want to grind. We want to, I sleep when I'm dead. You'll be dead quick. If Jesus, a miracle worker, got tired and decided that he could take a break, why do we not want to take a break? I don't get that one. If you look at the Message Bible, to get there, he had to go through Samaria. He came into Sychar, a Samaritan village that bordered the field with Jacob. Jacob's well was there, worn out by the trip. It says worn out by the trip. I mean, worn out. So this means to me that sometimes you could be worn out by what you went through. You could be worn out by what you're going through. You could be worn out by just where you're at. But that does not negate the call that Jesus has on your life. He just said he stopped and took a break. And where he took a break at, where he decided to rest his head or be alone, was a place that he could get water. We have to be very careful about where we take our break at, or where we are open, or who we are, what's the good word for it? When you're open with somebody.
Well, I guess you're trying to say kind of like when you're resting, you usually have your guard down. Mm-hmm. So because of that, you want to be mindful of where you rest. And this was probably a good point in his journey to rest, because he could rest and was able to get water, as opposed to him resting somewhere where there would not have been water.
Right.
So I guess you want to be mindful of that, because you usually let your guard down.
So you want to be mindful of who you let your guard down with. You want to be mindful of where you decide to have pillow talk with. Sometimes we'll talk with people and we'll be open, and those people they've showed themselves to us already. They showed themselves to be manipulators. They've showed themselves to use us. They showed themselves to take what we say, twist it up, and put it all over Facebook or put it all over everything. But we continue to be open with those people. So I think this was a sign that we have to be very careful about who we are, open with when we're tired. I think when you're not tired, you have your guard up more. But when you get tired, you let your guard down, you find these friends and you just let things happen. So let's continue to read for sake of time.
Can I,
Go ahead.
do I get to get my
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. This is
So,
open.
You said the point was you're supposed to take a rest, right? Because you get worn out. So I think I had a worn out moment today, this morning, talking with some of my, not with you, but talking with some of my work sisters that really support me, and it's very important to have a powerful circle. I've had one, like I had one having at my current school, the last school that I was at. I have some ladies there that I'm still connected to because they were probably very instrumental to me actually making it, the time that I was there. But anyway, so I just kind of got tired. I get physically tired, partly because I'm out of shape and been trying to walk and things like that. So when you get physically tired, my body tells me to rest. I'm learning to actually rest. But then when you get emotionally or spiritually worn out or tired, and you're usually so strong or appear to be, or you're usually the light, if you will, it can be kind of discouraging because it's like, wait, I'm supposed to be on point. I'm supposed to be up. I'm supposed to be ready to go. I'm supposed to be this. I'm supposed to be that. But the thing is, nobody else put that pressure on me. I put it on myself. And so I had a worn out moment, and I talked to my sister, my work sisters, and they said, they were encouraging. They said, you have days like that, and it's okay. And one thing is, I try my best to give a positive outlook on things. I try my best to offer another perspective and do that without judgment. Whatever situation someone brings to me, I try my best to. It doesn't always work because I am human, but for the most part, I try my best to have a positive spin because I know people are watching me, because I know that a 5-year-old is watching me and she's still trying to figure out what it means to be a woman and things like that. And so in that worn out moment, I just had to stop, what I was doing. And in my case, I
Is everybody still here? All right. She'll be back up right now. Can you hear us, Moet?
She put
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, you seen that? Okay. All right. So don't know what happened there. Had a little bit of technical difficulties. Don't, but we should still be going on all the platforms. If we're not, we will rebroadcast it. However, I think that what you're saying is important. I didn't think about it that way of when you're spiritually drained or when you're spiritually tired. Even when you take it even deeper into what you just said, when you are spiritually drained, where do you go? Like, do you know a person or a place that you can go, like to a well to refill? Do you even know that place? And I think it's good to identify that place ahead of time than to wait and then find it out later. So let's continue to read. I'll let you read this time. And we left off on.
So we're in John chapter 4. I'm begin reading at verse 7. That's where we left off.
Verse 7.
Mhm.
Okay.
There cometh a woman of Samaria to draw water. Jesus saith unto her, Give me to drink. For his disciples were gone away unto the city to buy meat. Then saith the woman of Samaria unto him, How is it that thou, being a Jew, askest drink of me, which am a woman of Samaria? For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. Jesus answered and said unto her, If thou knewest the gift of God, and who it is that saith to thee, Give me to drink, thou wouldst have asked of him, and he would have given thee living water.
All right. So it says the woman said, then saith the woman, How is it that you, being a Jew, askest drink of me? And it's kind of like, the way I took that is when you're confronted in that place, and like you said, if if you're out there and you're trying to minister, or you're trying to just do your job, just period as a person, and someone says, How is it that you aren't even supposed to be here, how are you going to ask me to give you something? And now this woman, she was a woman, as we found later in the scripture, a woman of many husbands, a woman who had a past. So it's almost like, I don't know if any of you can attest to it, that when you decide that you're going to do something for Christ, and when you decide to change your life around and help other people out, it's almost like an automatic response. Well, how are you, of all people, gonna try to get me to do something with you and for you? It's almost like an instant kickback. When she said, Being a Jew, you ask us to drink of me. For the Jews have no dealings with the Samaritans. It's almost like if you decided that you want to be a part of an organization that's not fond of blacks, but you don't care. At this point, you know where God told you, the place God told you to go, and you say you're gonna do it anyway. But right when you get in there and they look at you like, you don't even belong on this side of the tracks. So how can you ask me for anything? So then Jesus responded, If you knew it's the gift of God, and who it is that saith thee, Give me to drink, thou would have asked him, and he would have given thee living water. You have anything on that?
I guess it would be, you don't always get to choose like who you're going to have to minister to. Um, I remember I was given a word for someone who had, I guess I don't want to say wronged me because no one, I mean, who speaks like that. But like I wasn't really feeling her at the time, but God gave me a word for her, and so I had to be obedient, and I mean, and that's not an exact parallel to this situation, but that's just what it makes me think about, because these are two people who really shouldn't have been in the same area. Like we don't mess with each other. Like we don't even fool with each other. I don't know why you ask me for no water, because you already know we're not supposed to be talking to each other. So it's kind of like that situation. But I just had to be obedient, and I had to give her the word that was for her, because it had nothing to do with me or how I thought or felt about her in particular. But, and it's not like I hated the person. I don't hate anybody. But it was kind of like, okay, God, you could have gave anybody else his word to get to her, but you won't give it to me. But okay. So, and I shared it with her. And based on her reaction, I knew it was something that she needed to hear. And so I said, okay, But yeah, that's what it makes me think about. Like, you asking me for some water? Like, first of all, you tapped in this well, you should have had your own bucket or something to get the water. And then you're going to ask me, and we don't even fool with each other like that.
I'll give you another.
in today's.
I'll give you another perfect example. And reading it in the Message Bible, I like to go back and forth. It says, the Samaritan woman, taken back, asked, how come you, a Jew, are asking me, a Samaritan woman, for a drink? Jews in those days wouldn't be caught dead talking to Samaritans. Jesus answered, if you knew the generosity of God and who I am, you would be asking me for a drink, and I would give you fresh living water. So my example, and it's just the way I think about things, there was a math teacher who was taken back by a PE teacher. Now I'm walking in the hallways, right? And it's her. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? And she looking at me like, you, a dusty PE teacher, I wouldn't be caught dead, her and her little friends, I wouldn't be caught dead talking to dusty old Coach Mack. And then my response is, girl, if you really knew who I was, if you knew the generosity that God has on my life, you would be asking me, can we, like, hey, is there something I can do for you?
First of all, that's not how the story went. And second of all, at that time, you probably was dusty.
I probably was. But ain't that just the marvel of the Bible?
Yeah.
Jesus was probably tired. He probably didn't look anything like
Jesus,
like the Savior. He didn't look anything like the person that would have changed this woman's life around. Now think about, this woman had done some things in her past. Not saying my wife had done some things. However, I probably did not look like anything that would spark her interest in the moment. But then again, I wasn't there in that moment to like anything. I was there to do my job. I was there to work, and when so there was no reason for me to walk around, like a peacock with all my little colorful feathers behind me. And I think sometimes this lesson is that don't get so caught up in what you see. Because if you get so caught up in what it looks like, then you'll miss out on a whole bunch of blessings. Mm-hmm. Like even in the earlier, the revisit on the Be the Ram Live, Laura Williams, who was Ebanks at that time, said that, she would diss guys because of the type of car that they drove. And then when she met the guy who's her husband now, her life was changed around because of the fact that she finally didn't judge the book by the cover. So if that would be a lesson of the well, is that don't get so caught up in what you see. when you're going through life and when you see an opportunity, it may not look like an opportunity to someone else. It may only look like an opportunity to you. You know, I see a old dusty house in the middle of the woods is like, oh, if you fix it up, it can be peaceful. You cut the grass, like you have a perfect little in the cut hideout. Other people may see it as a haunted house. It just depends on how you look at it. Now, once again, we're probably going to be here for about 10, 15 more minutes, but you are welcome to join our live. But you will need to go to our website, www.betheram.com. You will see the event and you go in and it will give you a Zoom code. So we do have Miss Moet Archer on. She hadn't said anything, but she's on here. So we do appreciate you for coming on. You can chime in at any time and give us one of your lessons at the well. However, we'll keep reading and we'll just piggyback off of each other. We'll start at 11 and we'll put that on you.
All right, so I'm still in John chapter 4. I'm going to start reading at verse 11. The woman saith unto him, Sir, thou hast nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. From whence then hast thou that living water? Art thou greater than our father Jacob, which gave us the well, and drank thereof himself, and his children, and his cattle? Then Jesus answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life.
All right.
That's the message I'm saying.
The Message version says, and this is reading from, 11?
Yes.
The woman said, Sir, you don't even have a bucket to draw water with, and this well is deep. So how are you going to get this living water? In quotation. Are you a better man than our ancestor Jacob, who dug this well and drank from it? He and his sons and livestock passed it down to us. Jesus said, Everyone who drinks this water will get thirsty again and again. Anyone who drinks the water I will give will never thirst, not ever. The water I give will be an artesian spring within, gushing fountains of endless life.
And not that artesian bottle of spring water.
Right, the real stuff. So, I mean, looking at this verse, these 4, 5, it was kind of, for me, a mix between some real deep flirtation and just a sign that what are you doing when you're doing it? Like she said,
doing what?
When whatever you're doing.
Oh, okay.
So she said, she first, once again, judged him by what she saw. She looked at her circumstances, which is the well, and what she saw him with, which was nothing. And she said, first of all, you don't even have a bucket. So if you don't have a bucket, how are you going to help me out? Because you don't. She looked at him and said, you don't have what I think I need. I think I need a bucket to get something out of this well to have my needs met. And you don't even have the first part, which is the bucket. Furthermore, if you were such a man and you didn't need the bucket, you're going to scoop something out with your hands. This well is deep. So it says that basically you don't have a bucket and I need so much that it's more than a handful. But I need, you can't, it's so deep. My needs are so deep that it's not going to be cured by a splash. And I think that's where a lot of us are. We see our situation and then we see someone like, hey, God said, I will provide. And you tell God, Do you know how many bills I have? Do you really understand what's going on here? Or God says, stay married. And you say, have you met him? Like you don't know him like I know him. Like I'm not going to be staying married to this guy, this guy, this guy is that, this guy is the scum of the earth. And God is saying, like, I see all that, but what you're needing him to do or her to do is not even what you're looking for anyway. Like you're looking for all the wrong characteristics in the right place. And then he says, what you're the water you're trying to get, you're gonna be thirsty again anyway. But what I'm trying to give you, what I'm trying to introduce you to, you'll never be thirsty again. So the way I took that was that sometimes we're hustling so hard, especially as guys. We want to be the provider, we want to be a protector, and we will work from sun up to sundown. And I think this whole pandemic and being in the house has kind of, had that type of effect to make you step back and find out what's really worth it. What's really the point of being at that well so long if right when the money's spent up anyway. So time is your most valuable resource, and you gave that up to make money, which is a resource, but that money goes so quick because you're not planning with it, you're not paying your tithes, you're not honoring God with your fruits of your labor. So it's in one door, like on the Married with Children, right when you get it, they all like hitting him on the shoulder, and he's like here, and it's gone. And then you get back on this little wheel and you start running again. You never get that break. So what I took from that is that you may need to just step back and try to figure out what it is that you're doing. Why do I keep finding myself back at this well? Do I need to have a better plan for my money? Do I need a better plan for my relationship? People don't like to hear it, but every girl that you date has the same issue. There may be either just a bad choice in who you date, or there's something in you that's enabling that activity, or there's something in you that is attracted to that type of activity. So we have to be very careful about, finding out why we keep having to go back to the well and back to the well. And is there something that God is offering us that will quench all of that thirst so we never have to come back? Anything on that one?
Well, I think the water that we'll have to, that you get from the water, so the well itself, she can draw that water by herself. Mm-hmm. So to her, it seemed more accessible. Like, okay, well, I can get that water myself. And I'm gonna have to keep coming back for this water over and over again, but not realizing the water that Jesus was offering. And so sometimes we might look at it as like, I know everything Jesus is offering right now, but there's some stuff that I still want to do. And I still want to be able to do that without conviction, myself included. There are some things that I still wanted to do because I thought that's what was fun. And if I really start working with Jesus all the way, then I can't do those fun things that I want to do. And so that's easier, right? Because, okay, at least you allow yourself to believe that, oh, that's easy. I can go back to that because Jesus is going to still be there. I can, go back to that whenever I need to. So, yeah.
Okay, so we'll read a couple more scriptures and then we will phase out. So we stopped at, I think, 14.
Yes, 15.
The woman said, let me share a screen. Use this. 15. The woman said unto him, Sir, give me this water that I thirst, not neither come hither to draw. Real quick, I think this was humility. It was the fact that a lesson from the well is that you got to be humble. Sometimes you have your mind made up, and sometimes you have to say, look, I know what I said, and I said what I said, but yeah, tell me about this water. Tell, as a teacher and a parent and a 30-something-year-old, it's hard sometimes to say, you know what, you might be right. Tell me about it. Just that. All right, so I'm going to leave that alone. Jesus said unto her, go, call thy husband and come hither. The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Jesus said unto her, thou hast well said, I have no husband, for thou hast had 5 husbands, and he whom thou now hast is not thy husband. And saith thou truly. The woman said unto him, Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet. Our fathers worship in the mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem is the place where men go out to worship. Jesus said unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in the mountains nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father seeketh such worship for him. So let's go back to the Message Bible, because I really believe that it may be very clear and direct on that one. The woman said, Sir, give me this water so I won't get thirsty, won't ever come back to this well again. He said, go call your husband and then come back. I have no husband, she said. That's nicely put. I have no husband. You've had 5 husbands, and the man you're living with now isn't even your husband. You spoke the truth there, sure enough. Oh, so you're a prophet. Well, tell me this. So the way I took that, when you read the Message Bible, it kind of puts a tone on it from a right now. So if you don't have an app with a Message Bible, I would suggest that you get it. The way I took it, let me stop the share, was that she was really trying to shuck and jive Jesus. She's like, well, I want some water. I want whatever you got. Tell me. And he says, I almost took it as she said she wanted it, but she wasn't really all in. She wanted to kind of put on a front like she wanted it, but she really wasn't ready to be completely open and honest. Because in the end, he said that God is looking for someone who will worship in spirit and in truth, like a different type of worship. And it seemed as though he caught her in her words, because he said, all right, go get your husband. So she then says, well, Jesus, or whoever you are, I'm not married, but I do have a guy I'm with now and he's not married. That almost was an opportunity for her to just come clean there. But I think she felt like many of us that we can kind of do whatever we want to do and still be Christian and still be saved, because this thing called grace and mercy, it does run out, or our time runs out. It doesn't run out. However, we don't know the day or the hour that our time. So you don't want to get caught slipping and, you thinking you got another day left on your clock and you don't. So when he asked her about the husband, she said, I don't have one. And he says, oh, you don't. You got 5. And the one you with now is not your husband. And even though he hit her with that, she still continued to say, oh, so basically you think you better than me. You a Jew, or you this, you that. You said the only place that we can worship is a mountain or this or that. And he responded to even that saying, look, I'm trying to help you out. There's going to be a time and a place that we ain't going to worship on this mountain or here. we may be on Zoom. We may be on Facebook worshiping. And I don't care where you worship. I just need you to worship in spirit and in truth. So the last lesson from the well that I got is that you're not tricking Jesus by being halfway in. You just need to be all the way in because he already knows anyway. You're not hiding anything. You're not going to all right, and we are finishing this up.
Okay.
And my wife has a different point of view and perspective, and that's the whole power of reading the Bible. That we can read the same thing and get different viewpoints on it.
I don't necessarily think she was, trying to be smart or shucking and jiving or anything like that. I think she doesn't know who this man is. And I'm assuming, and it seems that like the men that she's encountered, they're not, treating her like a queen.
Mm-hmm.
They're using her up until they're done. And they move on to wherever. So I didn't get a shucking and jiving type of vibe. I took it as more so she's trying to like, okay, are you for real? Trying to fill you out, trying to fill him out. Are you for real? And so he starts talking about all of her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so she responds about our fathers worshipped in the mountain. So she's like, well, I know something about worshiping too.
Oh.
Like, putting that out there. And then she was trying to fill him out, trying to figure what is he talking about with this water? Like, is this somebody trying
to hit on me?
What do you mean by this? And maybe she had heard something about it before or something about this man before. And she's like, okay, well, is he really the one? Or what is this water he's talking about? So yeah, I didn't necessarily see it as a shucking and jiving type of thing. I saw it as, okay, you already talked about these 5 husbands and the man I'm with now. So obviously, I have some history.
Yeah.
And so, it's not that if the first one treated me a certain way, then there wouldn't have been me for second, third, fourth, and fifth.
And then the one that ain't your husband.
So that could have been her thought. Of course, I don't know her thought process, but I just didn't see it as a shucking and jiving type of thing. But then also, I guess sometimes we do make deals, or in our mind, we think we're making a deal. Like, okay, God, if he the one for real, then this. Give me a sign. And then we get the sign, we be like, no, not that kind of sign. That wasn't Jesus. That was so, yeah.
I can see exactly how you can see it that way. And I think that's why the Bible is such a great literacy piece, because it really attaches to our backgrounds. So as a guy, we're used to people trying to get over on us and shucking and jiving and as I said, but I haven't thought about it from a woman's perspective that, hey, this woman has been mistreated. This woman has had five husbands. I mean, you think about 5 marriages, you're probably going to give somebody the 5th degree that's coming at you at a well about some water. Like, it will make perfect sense. So that's what we're in today's Bible study lesson. Just, we wanted to get together and just different lessons from the well. I mean, I think if we would have had 50 people on here, we would have had 1,000 different viewpoints, and we would have had so many different ways, because the Bible is written in the way that God is for everybody and that it attaches to where you are. And had I read this 10 years ago, I probably would have saw it differently. And when I read it 10 years from now, I'll probably see it differently. So it's just good that you get in the word for yourself and that you continue to win the 97% of the time that you're not at church, and that you understand that it's okay that I read it one way and my wife read it another way. What's important is that we're reading it and that you get an understanding for yourself. Because if you continue to allow other people to spoon feed you, they're going to give you their perception of the Bible. And that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to give it to you how God gave it to them. But if I'm going to minister to a certain group of people, they're going to be attracted to our ministry, then they're going to want to receive it. They're probably going to be placed in our life to receive it the way I've got it. If they're somebody who heard it, how she said it, they may have been ready to click off like, you don't know what he talking about. And then when she said it that way, it's like, oh yeah, somebody listening. I had me 5 husbands.
Why she gotta sound like that? That's
I don't know.
might not be how she sounds.
She might have not sound like that, but that's the way I heard it.
So, okay. As the story goes on, nobody finishes. She realizes that this is Jesus, and so she goes and she tells people. So, tells people about Jesus. And I know he was finishing up, but I just wanted to point out right there, some of us could identify with that woman, because Jesus can tell you all your stuff. So he's like, okay, yeah, I know all of your stuff, male or female. I know all of your stuff, but you had an encounter with me. Even with all of that stuff, it didn't matter. You had an encounter with me, and now you can go and tell other people. So it doesn't matter your track record, doesn't matter your history. I mean, as the kids say nowadays, and this might be too much for some of y'all, but it's okay. Your body count, because God can still use you. And he told her to her face, her stuff. Okay, here go all of your stuff. This water is still available for you. With all of that stuff, this water make you clean, go on about your business, and go tell other people.
And the way I took that, not to cut you off, was just, I've been watching Scandal, and it was like, right, he brought in a folder, and he brought it to Melly, and I guess it was called a deaf, I don't know what the folder's called, but he gave it to her, and in that folder, it was a list of everything that she had done. It was like, I know what you did when you was the vice president. I know what you did when your husband was in office. I know what you did here, there. And the purpose of that, the way he used it was to say, I got you now. And that's kind of like how the devil does. The devil will say, I got this list. I know I will put you on blast. I will end your little ministry.
Expose you.
I will expose you. I will screenshot you. I will do any and everything that I can and want to. And if you don't do what I tell you to do, then I'll out you. And I love her response because she was like, whatever. And that's kind of how it was in that story, but it was flipped. You know, it's God when he says, look, I already know about your 5 husbands, but this water still available. I already know about what you did, but this water still available. I already know about the job you quit. Water still available. I know about your last relationship. I know about your last marriage, but this water is still available. So it just, that's the way it stuck out to me was that, when people are bringing things to you, try to figure out the angle. Are they bringing it to you and saying, look, I don't care what you did. I still love you. Or are they saying, look, I know you did this, that, and the third. So look, you need to do this. Come here, money. Can you keep running around? Come on over here. Let you continue what you were saying. Come on, you keep running around.
I was sneaking.
Oh, you know what you sneaking for? Come right here. Yeah, stay right here.
No, she can go. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go.
Now stop
Be
sneaking.
quiet. I made my point. I forgot what I was about to say.
About her going out and ministering.
Yeah, well, that always brings me. I think I probably say this all the time, but I remember a while ago when I was still kind of doing whatever I wanted to do. To a certain extent, and John Tate told me, don't think it odd when God decides to use you. And I was like, what? Wait, do what?
You said it like that.
Wait, you too. And that has always stuck with me. I know I've said it plenty of times. And it comes back to me, exactly what I needed. Because even though I'm far from where I was at that time, I'm not that far. And so me with all of my imperfections, my history, that God knows every detail about, he still allows me to, he still decides to use me. And so there's so many different ways you can go with this particular story. It's a very popular story and people have probably preached on it thousands of times, but there's so many different perspectives that you can have from the woman's perspective, Jesus, just all about the well. So yeah.
All right. So I hope, and we hope that something we said, brought up something in there, stirred something in your spirit so that you will take some of these lessons from the well, apply them to your life. And that's our time. We'll pray and get out of here. And you can always comment, like, share, subscribe, go to our website, www.betheram.com. And we have our services live on Sundays, 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, website, Facebook, almost every book, every something is online. So, hey, let us know if one of those points stuck with you and share it, #BeTheRam. God, thank you for what you just did. Thank you for the distance that this Bible study lesson will travel. And we just thank you for allowing us to be the ram in somebody's life right now. In your mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right.